Hi, everybody. Welcome to Proline, direct from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Koch and joined by Jim Feist. We have got a lot to go through in today's show. We're going to break down some baseball action, the NBA playoffs, conference finals winding down, even some early NFL notes. But before we do any of that, Jim, we want to tell people how to subscribe to the channel for free and get some free bonus material as well.
Absolutely, Dave. Just go to ProlineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button and you'll get notifications on new videos. Plus, you'll be sent a code to get 7 days of my service for free, absolutely free. Go to ProlineTV.com.
All right. Well, I want to tell people about, look, I lost the Warriors at Oklahoma City in Game 4, which was a really bad read on my part. But for the most part, the NBA playoffs have been excellent so far, and including a real big play on the Warriors when they just destroyed Oklahoma City in the one game they managed to squash them in this series. I want you to get all my value plays in baseball. Now, I've got those every single day, plus the rest of the NBA playoffs, and we're going to do this for just $49 all the way through the All-Star break. The All-Star break's not till the middle of July, so $49, that's a lot of plays and a lot of action between now and the middle of July. And all you need to do is call toll-free 1-855-472-2577. Jim, you've been enjoying the month of May as well. Big runs in both baseball and basketball.
Well, we call this Happy Wednesday, but
yes,
actually it's been a very happy month. Last week on the show, I had a $1,000 parlay for $49. That was Oakland, 8-1 winner over Texas, and the Warriors and Thunder in Game 2 to go under. Tonight, I have my first game of the year in the last 2 weeks, and it's in the ALC East. ALC East game of the year. The last one I cashed with the Cardinals, 5-2. That's right. That was an easy winner. This play is online right now at jimfeist.com for $99, but you'll get this play for just $19 by calling 866-546-9467. Don't miss out.
All right, now, before we get to the games, well, actually, let's get right to the games and talk about Raptors and Cavaliers because they're playing tonight. It's Game 5, and all of a sudden, it's a brand-new series. Toronto gets squashed the first 2 games at Cleveland, non-competitive. I thought Cleveland went in a little bit flat in Game 3 and paid for it. But Game 4, I don't think flatness had anything to do with it. The Raptors just played a better basketball game. They found a weakness in the Cleveland defense named Kevin Love, exploited it like crazy, and Lou had no choice but to put him on the bench eventually because he couldn't stop the pick and roll. You know, it presents a bit of a problem for the Cavaliers going into tonight's game. They've got this team with no pressure on them at all in Toronto coming in with some confidence now. And it doesn't look like a pat hand like it did going into the series when it just figured, well, it's Cleveland and however many they want.
You're right. Toronto played them well during the season. Now, you can't always take regular season games and take anything out of them because coaches are resting players. They're not trying. They're not playing a whole game, et cetera, et cetera. But in the playoffs, now that the Toronto Raptors have some confidence and those 2 guards are playing, Lowry and DeRozan, they played great in this last game. And if Love is either not playing well, got something in his head, whatever it is, or it's his knee, and it could be any of those or all of those, and he's
But
not
he just can't play defense.
Well, you know, he hasn't been a terrible player forever. I mean, the guy's been a really good upscale player in the NBA. I can't take that away from him, and that's why they paid him a lot of money. Yep. Although they do sometimes overpay people. We do know that too. But in this spot, with a team that is young, hungry, great home support, even though they're on the road, and their confidence is up, I don't think it's going to be that easy to beat them now. And the problem I have with these lines that are being made on these games is the perception is that, you know, with Golden State, they're the best team, so we have to jack up their prices. And with Cleveland, they're the best team in the East, and you got LeBron, and you got Seth on the other side, you know, and they're jacking these prices up too high. If you put these teams on a neutral floor and let them just play 10 games out, how many would each one win? I mean, the guards for Toronto are not terrible, and if they get Valanciunas back to get in the middle and add some offense, this guy can play. He's a good player.
Yeah,
he's been out for a long time with this ankle, and you know, he's a big man. He hurt his ankle. It could be really serious, but he has been out, and they made him questionable in the last game. You put him on the floor with Bismack, not Bismarck. It's Bismack.
I know. I like Bismarck better.
So do I, because we played the song.
Yes.
But those two guys can really hurt you on the boards, and you get a couple points out of Bismack, and you get Valanciunas. He can add some points too. And these guards, this is not that bad a basketball team to make them an 11 or 12-point underdog. I don't get the lines. I think that maybe Cleveland's a 3-point better team with 4 at home court, maybe at that level, maybe 7. I think these numbers are out of whack, and you're going to see it again with Golden State and Oklahoma City as well. I see it more competitive than the odds makers are making them.
Yeah, I think Cleveland might get him tonight, but I will say this: a little bit of the Tyson factor has gotten involved here, and what that is if you go back to the glory days of Mike Tyson, everybody was scared blankless of him before the fight. And that included professional boxers before the fight started, and then the Buster Douglas thing happened, and they weren't scared of him anymore. And that's kind of what's happened in this series. So Cleveland is now in a little more deep water than they were prior to the start of the series because the fear factor is gone. Toronto's not scared of them anymore. Cleveland needs to go out and play their best basketball game tonight, not to make a statement, just to win the game and go up 3-2. And we'll see if they can do it.
I don't want to prolong just this segment, but there's a couple points. You know, during the regular season, Cleveland wasn't thought of as a great 3-point shooting team. They got into the playoffs, and they started shooting threes, and they hit 77 threes in the first series or something like that. It was crazy, or against the first 2 series. And they became a 3-point shooting team. They're not a 3-point shooting team. They have to drive to the bucket. That's where their strength is, and let Kyrie do his thing and hit a couple outside threes here and there because they do have a couple guys that can do that really well. LeBron is not one of them, but he can get under the boards and drive you crazy the way he can get under the boards, rebound, drive to the basket. They haven't been doing enough of that, and Lou has got to step on their tail and say, hey, we've got to go back to what we did and we're good at. We had that aberrational trend through the first couple series. We hit all those threes. That is not helping them.
All right, let's talk some baseball. And, you know, if you go back to 2015, the Seattle Mariners going into the season was supposed to be a pretty decent squad that competed for the AL West title. Well, obviously that didn't work out. Mariners were a flop. Manager is gone. The GM is gone. Whatever they did in terms of cleaning house seems to have paid off. And the guys who maybe didn't contribute as much as they should have last year have stepped it up this season. The Mariners right now look like they could very well be the team to beat in the AL West. I think it's between them and Texas. Houston's not as good as they were. They've taken a step backwards. The Angels, maybe a 500 team, and Oakland is horrible. Oakland and Seattle continue their series tonight. It's the rubber match of the series. Rich Hill, dynamite performance on Monday. Got in early trouble, but ended up getting out of it. He got out of a bases-loaded no-out jam in the second inning, and that was key. And then there was some errors late in the game. They won 5-0. Mariners looked like they're going to drop a second straight to Oakland last night. And then boom and boom again. Robinson Cano, don't you know, in the 8th inning hits a 2-run homer. And then Leonis Martin, who's really been hot lately, he steps up and hits the walk-off 2-run shot in the 9th inning. Big favorites tonight. Mariners with Iwakuma against the first-time starter for Oakland. Oakland team's in a little bit of trouble right now, Jim. Reddick is on the DL. They really don't have a lot of offense. The bullpen's shaky, as we saw again last night. The defense stinks. It's one of the worst defensive teams in baseball. They're just not a very good baseball team. It's in the price, but the only side I could look at tonight would be the Mariners.
Yeah, but like you, it's going to be hard to lay that kind of number. Now, you might want to go in and modify your bet. You can do this, and I suggest thinking about this when you look at big prices like this. I like Seattle in this game. I can't lay that price, but if I lay the price and then I lay the run line as well, let's say I put $50 on each side.
You're going to make a -1.
I'm making it a -1 game, basically, because even if they win by 1, I'm winning this bet and losing that bet because I'm laying 1.5. So that's not a terrible thing to do. You can also look at maybe first 5 innings. You can look at that. Or you can look at over and under runs for each team. Yep. Now, I would say Seattle's going to outscore this team by quite a bit, which is why they're the big favorite. And you got the first-time starter with a bad defense, bad bullpen, and all the other bad things that they do. So there's a lot of ways to bet a Seattle game like this. When you get these big run lines or big prices, money lines, you don't want to be doing that because it's not a good way to make money long-term. But if you finagle around a little bit and do some of the things I just suggest, that you can make money betting big favorites in baseball.
And that might be a good question for somebody to ask. And speaking of which, if you've got any sports wagering question that you want us to try and delve into, just go to ProlineTV.com And be sure to hit the subscribe button to get 7 days of action free, and then ask your question, and we'll be happy to answer it right here.
Yep, absolutely. Love to do it. Plus, go to jimfeist.com for free stats, articles, videos, and podcasts. My free fast facts. You'll love the fast facts. You got to try that out. And plays from the nation's top handicappers.
All right, coming up next, we will delve into Game 5 of the NBA series between Golden State and Oklahoma City, and the Warriors are on the brink of elimination. That's next. Well, the Warriors would have liked to have won twice by breaking the record in the NBA regular season and then winning the NBA championship for a second straight year. It's going to be a little bit tough right now. They've got the 73-win deal locked up, but did they cost themselves the NBA title in the process? Because right now, Oklahoma City's the better basketball team. It actually hasn't, you take away Game 2, it hasn't been that close.
No, Dave, and the issue was, and I saw this coming back in February and March because I didn't like the way they were being coached. In the NBA today, they play 82 regular season games. And really, they're preseason games because half the league goes to the playoffs, which is stupid. 32 teams, 16 go to the playoffs. That's absolutely insane. I don't know why they do this. But 82
I know why they do it. Money.
Well, money. Of course they do. I should have known that. But it's what happens here is they have this goal to win all these games and set the record, and I understand that. It's great. But what happens if you fatigue your players while the guys that you're playing against in the playoffs have been resting? Okay, obviously you got a situation where you're an underdog in that particular element of the game. And that's what's happening here. Not only did they fatigue themselves to go for the record, but they got some people hurt. Curry was hurt twice, his knee and his ankle. He doesn't look the same. He's actually missing shots.
I know.
We all thought this guy could never miss a shot because he just hits everything. Doesn't even look at the basket and they go in. So I think they are in trouble. I think their confidence is damaged. The other team is good. They got these big guys down low. They control the boards. And if you control the boards, you cut down on fast breaks, especially if you're getting offensive rebounds. You're putting balls back. Makes it easier on your offense. And Russell Westbrook, he's got a lot more leg in him than Curry does at this point in the season. This kid, the only guy that ever stopped Russell Westbrook was his coach at UCLA, and I think his name was Ben Howland. Yeah. So, I mean, it tells you how good Ben Howland is. Not that, I'm sorry about that. You might be a nice guy, but that wasn't a good job. This kid's good, and he got a sidekick in KD. You just can't stop. This is a tough team to beat. They're laying 8 points again against this club, and quite frankly, right now, OKC's the better team.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Plus, I think there's a sense of urgency on the Thunder because this is the end of this team as we know it. Kevin Durant's not going to be there next year. He's going off to wherever, probably Washington. And they've got that drive right now. They put something together. They got it together in that San Antonio series, and I mean, they are a hot basketball team right now. So we'll see what happens in this next game. I'll tell you what, though, it'll be the first time. We'll see what the public does with it. It's going to be really fascinating to see if the public jumps all over the Warriors thinking, well, they can't lose here, and go ahead and lay this number up to maybe 9. If they do that, you might be looking at value, just plain value, on Oklahoma City.
If you're looking at value plays, you got to play the dogs in both these games because these teams are closer together than these point spreads are telling you. And you can see all these dogs that are winning. And, of course, the blowouts are because three-point shots are inconsistent shots. They don't play a lot of plays to get down and shoot layups. They don't do that. You can be 2 feet from the rim for a layup, and they'll toss the ball out 30 feet for a three.
Larry Bird's about my favorite player of all time, but this idea that Larry Bird has of maybe now going to a 4-point shot as well, will you please stop it? As it is, basic fundamental basketball shot because nobody runs offense anymore. All right, anyway, listen, we've got free plays every day, and you can get these right on your cell phone. All you have to do is text in a little 4-digit deal, and you get free plays.
You just text GAME to 25827. That's GAME to 25827. You'll get free plays each and every day right to your cell phone. Text GAME to 25827.
All right, NFL meetings were taking place this week down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's a very interesting time for the National Football League as far as we here in Las Vegas are concerned. But that's down the road as far as whether the Raiders are going to come to town or not. What's already up in the sports books, numbers for the NFL, week 1, win totals, all kinds of things we'll be following, odds, you name it. We're going to talk some NFL next when the show continues. Now, a lot of the books have already put up numbers on assorted things. One of the things that's up, and I've got a sheet in front of me from the Silverton, which is part of the CG Technology family, and they have division odds up. And I took a look at a couple of things because one of the things that I like to do at this time of year is project breakout quarterbacks. Because I think if you can find breakout quarterbacks, you've got a good chance for a team that maybe has been kind of down in the doldrums to make a big move. And I think there's 2 teams that could be in that situation this year, Jim, and they're in divisions where I don't think moving up is that difficult. One is the AFC South, where the Jacksonville Jaguars are right now at 6-1. It's down to 18-5, so there's been some action on them already. I think Bortles is a guy who's ready to break out. I'm really impressed with him. He did a lot of good things last year. The experience factor is going to make him a better quarterback. And in the same state, now I don't know if I can take them to win a division or not because Tampa Bay still has a couple of tough teams in that division, namely the Carolina Panthers, the defending NFC champions. But I think Tampa Bay is a team that's also going to move up. I like Jameis Winston. I think Winston's going to be a good quarterback in this league. And I also like the coaching change there quite a bit. Lovie Smith, it's fine. Good luck to him at Illinois in the college ranks. But I think that's where he belongs. I don't think he was a good NFL head coach. I think Tampa Bay is going to be an improved team this year. So that's 2 teams I'm kind of zeroing in on right away.
I can't disagree with either one of those. I mean, you still got to look at the Saints, the Panthers. I mean, the Saints and the Panthers and Atlanta all have decent quarterbacks. So now you're talking about a young quarterback, sophomore year. I'm not as high on that as I would be in agreement with you on the Jaguars. The Colts might really fall off. We just don't know what's going on there with luck.
Plus, the rest of the roster is just kind of clunky.
I don't see that they've really improved that offensive line. And this kid has been getting killed, which is why he got hurt. They got to improve an offensive line. Quarterback's only as good as their offensive line is. You got to give them some time, and then it's nice to add a running back and some wide receivers to the mix too, along with a tight end. So the mix there, you got Texans could be good.
Well, and then
Jaguars
here's the thing: is Houston going to be the overly sexy pick going in because they're already down 9-5 to win that division, which is that means they're the second choice. The Colts are the favorite. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Houston is Osweiler ready to step in and be a 16-game quarterback? That's the question I've got. I think he's got a good chance to.
I personally think he is. I thought he did a pretty good job with Denver last year, and I don't think he should have been benched.
Neither does he, and that's why he's not in Denver anymore.
And the reason I say that is this. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Manning, but he was at the end of his career, and he didn't really have it anymore. But they had a great team that went along with him, which is why they won it all. And they were also fortunate to get Carolina, a team like that, in the Super Bowl. But when you look at him last year with Denver, a lot of the problems he had was the wide receivers were dropping passes like crazy.
Yep.
I mean, they were like the worst wide receivers in football for dropping passes. And this kid was hitting them in the numbers, and they were on the ground. So they bench him. Manning comes in, does his thing, and he's still a pro. Mentally, he's the best quarterback in the game, and he got there. But I do think he's ready to step up. Houston has a lot of talent. They didn't have quarterbacks last year that could perform. And, I mean, they were bad, especially when they got to the playoffs. Jaguars haven't been there before. Titans haven't been there in a long time. So you're talking about one team falling back and 2 teams coming up. But Houston has more of a nucleus already there.
I would agree with that. Let's talk about one team that is always in the mix. And, people talk about the best rivalries in sports. Red Sox, Yankees, Alabama, Auburn. I think it's changed. The best rivalry in sports right now is Goodell Brady. I mean, they don't like each other. And Brady's going after him again. And we'll see. I have a feeling there's going to be another injunction. That's just a guess on my part. I mean, I don't know the legalities of it, but I think Brady's got grounds for a pretty good appeal, and we'll see what happens. And it's tough for the odds makers to make a price on New England, though, because they don't know any more than we do about who's going to be playing in September.
When they opened this line, It originally opened Arizona, New England, Arizona being
Right.
home, pick 'em in 51. Now it's off the board everywhere because you don't know if he's going to be there. I'm going to bet that he's going to be
I
there
think he's gonna
because
be
I
there,
think
yep.
they're going to get an injunction because there's grounds for an appeal. He's already done that, and there's ground for an injunction. I mean, they could injunct this thing until the guy retires. Instead, he'll be sitting on a rocking chair, 69 years old, and go to hell and keep going after him. It's kind of a crazy thing. It's gone too far, and maybe a fine would have been enough and been done with it.
I think that the commissioner tried to flex his muscles, and personally, I think it backfired.
You think Goodell's a little bit arrogant sometimes?
Look up the word smug in the dictionary, and there's his picture sitting there. But he can afford to be as smug as he wants. He's doing rather well financially. All right, hey, listen, if you want free plays every day on a recorded message, now we told you how to get them as far as the text message is concerned, but you want to make a phone call, you just go directly to a recording and you get your free play from the Vegas experts.
Absolutely. Also at ProlineTV.com, click on the subscribe button and get notifications on videos and all the things that we have going on. Plus, you'll get sent a code for 7 days, how you can get 7 days of free service from me, ProlineTV.com.
And by the way, I forgot to give out the toll-free number that you need to call to get the
That helps.
the free plays
It does
on
help.
tape. Yeah, it would be a nice thing if I did that. So it's 1-888-478-9222. 1-888-478-9222. It's as simple as that. And that's it. We're done. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week with another edition of Proline.